Oh, Greg Stanton asks a question, which is a long time coming in my mind. He says, if you were to make a first-order retrievability cart for your kitchen today, what would it look like and what would be on it? To remind those who might be new to my philosophy of shop organization, first-order retrievability is simply that for mission-critical tools, I don't want to move anything out of the way to get to the thing that I need. And so I have back here are different carts set around the different tools that I use and tuned to the way I use those tools so that when I think of a thing, I can reach out and I can grab it. My kitchen is a very different organizational strategy than the shop, and yet it is a highly rigorous second-order retrievability. I haven't ever really talked about this. And I think this means that I've got to go to my kitchen with my camera and go film it so you guys can see. Because the wonderful designer, Stephen Moore, who built out our house, he has a store up in Noe Valley, and he designed effectively the house we bought years before we bought it. And he designed this kitchen where all the storage space is drawer-based. And all the pots and pans are in drawers. And I built dividers to hold the pots and pans in drawers. But everything's out of sight. But we know where everything is. There are sometimes some creative discussions about what is a scraper and what is a masher and what is a small tool. But for the most part, my kitchen at home, which is way more used by my partner, my wife, Mrs. Don't Try This, than me, is a highly refined engine for cooking with very few single-use tools. Although we did just get a cherry pitter. We already had a cherry and olive pitter, but OXO Good Grips makes a 6 cherry pitter. It pits 6 cherries at once. And we found out about this because in the Cape Cod this summer, my cousin, my amazing cousin Kelly, showed up with sour cherry pie because she was somewhere where sour cherries were in season. And apparently the season for sour cherries is very small. She made the sour cherry pie and we were like, that is amazing. How'd you make this? And she was telling us, and she was like, I got the OXO Good Grips cherry pitter. And she had it in her purse. I ordered it by the end of the day. What am I talking about? Are we still going? Yes, so there will be a video of the kitchen. I will tell you, my kitchen is so highly organized that a few years ago, a renowned chef, who's a friend of ours, was visiting San Francisco, and they stayed in our house because we were out of town. And this chef found my kitchen almost a little too intensely set up. Like, they were like, is he like, doo-doo? And it's just because it's really, really refined. I think there's an equivalent. I visited the shop of Don Pettit, astronaut Don Pettit. It's just an amazing human being and a lovely, lovely engineer, and he has this incredible home shop. Don holds a whole bunch of patents and is an amazing engineer, physically and mentally. And his shop is so clean. As I walked into it, he said, by the way, I use these tools all the time. I just really do keep them this clean. And I think that's what I would say to you if you visited my kitchen. Evan Copps asks, do you know where I can learn more about stop motion besides just the internet? I'm feeling stuck right now. It's an interesting thing about the internet. We're always culturally saying things like the internet is the sum of all human knowledge. And the answer is it's so not that at all, not even close, not even like a shade on human knowledge. What it is a very rough and tumble index of human knowledge. If you wanted to search the history of stop motion animation, it's hard to know at the beginning how to separate the wheat from the chaff. So I'm going to give you some markers here. Ray Harryhausen. If you want to learn more about stop motion, watch Ray Harryhausen. Watch Among the greatest stop motion sequences ever filmed is the skeleton fight from Jason and the Argonauts. It's absolutely astounding mix of live action and stop motion animation. Will Vinton, Will Vinton was up in Portland, did the California Raisins, among a million other things. A super important stop motion animator, designer, and artist. And I believe Leica grows right out of the Will Vinton studio. Leica, who did Coraline and Wendell and Wild and all sorts of other amazing movies. They're still up there in Portland, providing lots of work for lots of amazing artisans. And apparently there's a brand new documentary from 2022 about Will Vinton, which I have not watched, but there's also a documentary about Will Vinton from the 70s, which I watched in art class. In my art teacher in 7th grade had the most unique name. His name was Dewey Ekdahl. Dewey Ekdahl. And I always had a special thing with my art teachers. Like every one of my art teachers was great. My first big art teacher, my first important art teacher was Vinnie Albano. Vinnie Albano was my art teacher for 4th, 5th, and 6th grades, and he ended up even coming to my house once, which was like a celebrity coming to your house, because my dad collaborated with him on something. Vinnie Albano was the brother of Captain Lou Albano, the famous wrestling promoter. And then he gave way to Dewey Ekdahl, who gave way to Mr. Benson, who's my high school art teacher. But you wanted to learn more about stop motion. Okay, the other thing I would do is I would read. There is, so one of the greatest magazines ever written is a magazine called Cinefex, Cinefex. The entire archives are available online for a very reasonable membership fee as an iPad app. It's a spectacular magazine. And if you read through the entire canon of Cinefex, you will have something close to a PhD in special effects in 20th and 21st century filmmaking. And there are Cinefex articles about Harryhausen's technique. He also did the King Kong and Mighty Joe Young, 10,000 Years BC. We recently covered an amazing sculptor named Tony McVeigh here on the channel, who got his start sculpting for Ray Harryhausen. That is a crazy amount of lineage in just that sentence right there. And there are Cinefex articles on Harryhausen. There's Cinefex articles on two of the most important stop motion films in memory, which are Nightmare Before Christmas and James and the Giant Peach, both Henry Selick films. Nightmare Before Christmas is just it's so important. And Cinefex goes into great detail about a lot of the process of making that. And then the other thing I would say about learning more about stop motion, just do it. Listen, when this can be a camera platform, and this is your camera, and there are stop motion apps for filming on this. I mean, when I first got the very first webcam, that spherical one, the Quick Cam, the very first thing I did with it is animate Buzz Lightyear walking across my desk. The threshold to entry for trying it out is so low and really worth giving it a shot. Because the moment you execute a sequence, you will understand so much more about what you're watching. That is just a fantastic way to learn more about stop motion animation.
Thank you for watching that video. Are you as sick of the tosses to membership as I am? Good, because here's a brand new one that I recorded today, and it's nice and short. There are 3 tiers to tested membership, and they all offer awesome stuff. Find out about it by clicking the join link below. We'll see you there.